Muireann O'Connell, thank you so much for joining me on Flop Culture. How are you?
Have been waiting. I'm like,
She's been waiting, girls.
Like, what have I done? Did I poo in her cornflakes? Why has there been no text? Like, this is all about getting them out there. And I mean, all I do is watch the telly. Come on.
All you ever do is watch the telly, truly. An enviable life you live, watching telly.
And there were so many options. And Fionnuala was like, hold on now a second, you're going to have to give me a moment to watch an entire series if this is what's going. Because I've been waiting for like a year, 2 years to be like, okay, I will, when Fionnuala does eventually decide, okay, there's no one left, I'm going to ring Muireann. And I'll be like, okay, we can just go straight in with my so-called life. That was it. This is where I was. I was like, I was ready to go. That one series beauty. And in that space of time, I've gone from adoring it so much to wanting to gouge my own eyes out when I see Jared Leto.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I can't actually talk about him because he makes me wanna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead, we went for something, you know, it's timely. It's given the year that it is. You chose a film that is called
Leap Year. It was staring us in the face.
It was staring us in the face.
We have to do Leap Year, the pièce de résistance that was surely done for tax purposes for Amy Adams in 2010. Starring in it, obviously an Irish Colleen, because you got to have the red hair.
Of course,
this movie came at a time when we were going through the crash. I mean, we were just 2 years after the crash and this explodes onto our scene, and this was it. I was like, this is what Americans think of our culture. Yeah. There has been no growth since the shillelagh, since Darby O'Gill and the Little People. That is where we still are. And I think I've watched that movie, I would honestly say, about 17 times.
Same. I actually watched it a lot with my friend Jessica. Shout out if you're ever listening to this. It was like a sleepover staple. And I don't know why, because as rom-coms go, it's a bit kind of miserable. It's a bit like slightly joyless in terms of trying to buy into two people who are supposed to like you know, enemies to lovers trope, whatever, that they eventually fall in love with each other. What was your experience of initially watching it and then coming back to it for this?
Horror. I was like, why is this released in February and not in October? This makes no sense to me. Truly horror at the time, because like that I watched it with people, like we're all sitting around our rented house lashing this on the DVD going, this isn't really happening. This isn't happening. We're not doing this. You have to pause the DVD to go, is the accent worse or better than Tom Cruise in Far and Away? Then you've got to go get a clip of Far and Away and then you've got to judge Matthew Good on that. So there was a lot of things going on there. But then the more we watched the whole thing, by the end of it, did I want to ride Matthew Good? I absolutely did.
Look, he's very handsome. The accent is tragic. The accent is so much worse than I remembered. So much worse.
Truly horrendous. He does say one thing. He says Egypt very well.
Yes, he does say Egypt very well.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's it.
Like, that's it. And I love that when he's spoken about this movie, the time, like, he destroyed it. The only reason he did, he's like, this will be the worst movie of 2010.
Yeah.
And the only reason he did is because he wanted to be near his girlfriend and his newborn baby.
Yeah.
And he was like, Wicklow, I'm very tall, I can jump.
Yeah.
It's fine, I can jump back to England. And it made me love him even more on the press tour. I was like, I adore you for just being honest about what a turd this is. Yeah. Because was it around the same time? I can't remember. Renee Zellweger had done that movie New in Town.
I know the movie, yes.
Where
she lands on the door of somewhere and it's all snowy.
Alaska.
Yes.
It's like the anti-night country. And she arrives in Alaska. There's Harry Connick Jr. there, and you're just going, so you've got a really big tax bill. Like, something is happening here. And I have read interviews about that where she is selling, that woman, that Texan, she can sell. Beyonce, get her on your team. And I was just like, thank you, Matthew Good, for just being like, oh, this is a heap of shite.
Because Amy Adams didn't do a lot of press for it, unsurprisingly. At least Matthew Good came out and was like, I'll do the interview. I'm the surly barkeeper. Yeah. Here I am. Newtown was the year previous. But so we are in the right. We're in the right. 2009. Yeah.
Some of because previous to this, because there is some sort of obligation to do an Irish movie for some of these big stars, right? You know, I don't know what it was that Pierce Brosnan was doing, but I think he was getting people really drunk and being like, come on to Ireland. It'll just make them really happy. Just give them 10 minutes. You know, we didn't have Instagram back then and they were like, just walk around. and it'll eventually make its way to the Sunday Independent Life section that you've been spotted somewhere, and they'll just be happy for a little while. They just like the glamour. They don't want to annoy you. They just like the glamour. And for some reason, I don't know, like the shady deals that have been done in this country in the past, the brown envelopes that were given to celebrities to do these movies, I don't know, because we could also talk about another redhead, Julianne Moore, I'm looking at you, in Laws of Attraction with Pierce Brosnan. Again, a movie I have watched way too many times. And Michael Sheen was in that. So... This, if you don't know, and if you haven't seen Leap Year, please watch it.
Please. Oh my God, please.
I'm begging you, we should do a watch-along. So, it stars Amy Adams as a person who stages houses so as that they can be bought for a very extortionate price. Can you imagine that was a job? Like in Ireland now, literally someone would come in and take a dump on the floor as you're viewing the house, and people would go 100,000 over asking. Like, you just don't need to make anything look good. So the fact that was a job in 2010, amazing. But, you know, we were in the property.
I honestly thought that was a job that Selling Sunset made up. So then to hear, because I couldn't remember her job, I thought it was like real estate or something. And then when she was like, no, I stage houses, I bring all the furniture and then I take it away, whatever. I was like, oh my God, okay, so this isn't just something Amanda does in fucking... America. Brilliant.
Amanda staging houses. Oh. This is a rub. So, obviously, bear in mind that she sells a lifestyle.
Yeah.
That is all maybe a little bit phony, that her life isn't real. So she is going out with Adam Scott.
Totally forgot he was in this, and as someone who has since watched Severance and will be doing a recap series whenever Severance comes back.
I'm currently in the middle of a bit of severe sort of, oh my God, what is happening in the world? So I'm watching Parks and Recreation to make myself feel better.
Yeah. I've never watched. Is that really bad?
Lord, and start at the end of season 2, start of season 3.
Yeah, everyone says that. Everyone's like, season 1's a bit weird. Okay.
It's not bad. It's one of those things where you're jealous for what's ahead of you.
Okay.
I'm so happy for you.
Okay.
You know, it's like when I find out that people have gotten pregnant or they've bought a house. I'm like, oh my God, I am genuinely so happy for you. That's how high it is for me. That's what it means.
Brilliant.
So Adam Scott, around the time of Parks and Rec, is in this, and he is a cardiologist, and he is going out with Amy Adams, but he hasn't proposed after 4 years, guys. And we all know after 4 years, if you haven't proposed, you die.
Yeah, you might as well be out. You withered, all disgusting, ringless, husk, dirty. Awful.
Just sew it up.
What's the point, like?
We all know the epoch of life.
Yeah.
Is getting married.
Yeah.
Enter John Lithgow, who's wandered off the set of Third Rock from the Sun accidentally, going, my career is about to take off again in a major way very soon. I'm just going to pop in here for a minute as Mr. Brady. Yeah. Mr. Brady! Her name is Anna Brady.
Yeah.
Who tells a story about the old country. I've done the maths. It was Amy's grandparents, or Anna's grandparents, who he didn't want to get married. So she forces, the grandmother says, let's go back to the old country because it's leap year. And we all know in leap year in Ireland, every woman proposes to men.
Yeah.
Sorry, did we not say that that's the crux of this very well-known tradition that we all have?
Is that not global? Since when is that just here?
No idea.
Okay.
But you know when you need to sell a little bit of Irishness, like again, you got to remember, we were in the crash. No one was visiting. There was nothing. Yeah. Johnny Ronan had lots of places to show off, and Americans were coming. So
we were like, please, guys, please. There's so many Carl's Irish gifts that are just waiting for you to enter and buy keychains. You know.
Let's be honest. There is this, like, if you look on Reddit, there does seem to be a lot of American women who don't realise they can just say, are we getting married?
Yeah.
Like that they think that there has to be some sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I did the maths on it as to when Amy's grandparents would have come back to Ireland to do this on Leap Day. It was like during World War II.
Okay.
You know, that's the timeline because this is in 2010. So fair play to her.
Priorities.
For coming across the Atlantic to make sure that she got married during World War II. I love it. So she hears
Girl
this.
boss.
Anyway, basically, she comes over. He's at a conference in Dublin. Of course, the HSE are always having conferences for cardiologists. They like paying big bucks for that sort of stuff.
They do,
And then they're at this conference. She's like, I'm going to ask him to do this on Leap Day. She ends up meeting a Dingle innkeeper because she can't, her flight gets sent to Cardiff. And from Cardiff, you always end up in Dingle.
Yeah.
And so begins the story of their journey from Dingle to Dublin, which somehow takes 3 days. Where they fall in love.
Classic.
That is Leap Year.
Yeah, this is a very geographically confused movie, which is probably also why Irish people find it frustrating, because you've the bad accents. She's supposed to go to Dublin. She's in Wales, then ends up in Dingle, but is supposed to go to Cork, but is on a boat. So she technically could have gotten to Cork before she got to Dingle, but somehow doesn't. There's a castle superimposed from Laois at one point.
Yes.
It's just... This film's a mess, but I'm the same as you. I find it quite endearing. I kind of love it.
And you're also going, when they're on one road, going, that's the road from P.S. I Love You. But
yes, oh my God, yes!
Like, that's the P.S. I Love You road. And that's in Wicklow. So what I think that we actually like about this movie is because everyone can pretend to be a doctor watching Eeyore or Grey's when they're watching it, because we know Ireland.
Yes.
So we're like, excuse me, that is not Dingle. That's not how you pull into Dingle. That's not where the boats go. That's not the dock. That road isn't in Tipperary. We're all allowed be doctors going, I'm sorry now, but you can't open the sternum that way when they're watching Eeyore and Grey's Anatomy. And we're allowed. So we've got this smug sense of superiority going, we know better than ye.
Yeah.
And I rather enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do like. Ireland looks beautiful.
That's one of the things that was picked up on some of the positive reviews. There were not that many, but it is something that's highlighted about how gorgeous Ireland looks. Which it does. Yes. And Amy Adams, very good in this, as takes a bit of time to warming to, I find, as Anna.
I agree. Amy Adams gets put into these roles that I'm like, what? Like the Lois Lane thing, I will never get it as long as I live.
Bizarre.
She was just in a different world with a different Superman. She would have been great.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand it. Her Lois Lane was in a different universe to his.
Yeah.
And to Henry, because Henry Cavill does one thing.
Yeah.
In this, I'm just wondering if some redheads are contractually obliged to look like they are sewn to their heels, like Bryce Dallas Howard in Jurassic World.
Yes,
she's not allowed to take the heels off,
yeah.
And then she's going to run around with the heels. And the same thing with Amy Adams in this. Then I went back to 2010. Guys, we did not take the heels off. I remember walking. I don't think I was even living in Dublin then, but my God, did I wear heels everywhere that I went. Yeah. Everywhere that I went, I have got the feet to prove it. So of a time thing, I had to give her a pass on that.
Yeah.
For wearing the heels continually.
Yeah.
Even though you'd wear a pair of runners at some stage.
Just wear a pair of flats, for fuck's sake.
You know, when you're going to see a cow, wear a pair of flats.
Yeah. She, as I mentioned, she didn't do a lot of press for this. It was kind of Matthew Good did a lot of the heavy lifting, but there was it was definitely kind of a junket interview where everyone got the same kind of answers, and she talked about her similarities to the character Anna. I think that's why I was attracted to the character. I tend to be really pragmatic, but ultimately tend to be attracted to people who pull me into more spontaneity. I've really learned that through surrender, the best experiences of my life have happened. One of the things that attracted me to this story was thinking you have control, losing control, and then finding an amazing life for yourself. Perfect. Perfect. She should have gotten the Oscar for this.
What a long way to say I liked the paycheck. What a long way to say I need to pay my PRSI. Wow. That's just not true. She wasn't attracted to Anna in any way, shape or form.
No.
Anna isn't endearing. And what they're setting up, when people ask, when do you think, what about AI? I'm like, what's this one called? Oh, Leap Year.
Leap Year.
Like, it was written by AI, surely. Ireland, superstition, accent, romantic comedy, redhead.
Yeah.
And this is what was spurned out. And Matthew Good does look incredibly well in
Hapless young woman who is desperate to be married. This was a big theme of rom-coms at the time, where it was desperate to be, as we've already talked about, you have to be married, or a worthless woman if you're not married.
Yep.
Here's this loner, quiet man. Oh, he's been so hurt and bruised before, but he just needs to find the right girly whirly. And here she is off the plane from Boston to melt his ice cold heart. Matthew Good is Declan O'Connell, wowee.
Yes, as Declan O'Connell. A fine name, a legitimate name.
A serviceable Irish name,
completely.
Yeah.
It's just, I just don't, it's money. Okay, I just have to get over the fact that she did this for the money. And all the cliches that they decided to throw at the kitchen sink. So we know this isn't for an Irish audience. It's for second, third, fourth generation Americans looking for some form of modern day nostalgia, but they're trying to do that, that Gable Colbert, the sort of Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant in the Philadelphia Story. The Kate Hudson and bloody Matthew McConaughey, you know, in How to Lose a Guy. They want that sort of attraction. That's what rom-coms are. Two people who hate each other who end up falling in love. And Jesus, they just looked like they didn't want to be in the same room.
No. And
like,
again,
it didn't even look like they were mates.
Yeah, she again gives a very unconvincing answer in the same interview about him. She said, "Oh, he's great. He's so charming and funny, and he's smart. He brought so much to this role, did he? He just enjoyed playing Declan, did he? And that was so much fun. I love the character of Declan, and he was absolutely perfect in it. There is." Right to the very end, it's not. He looks great. He's very handsome. It's at no point is it convincing to me that it's like, oh yes, they're in love. I don't think she should end up with the Adam Scott character in the end, but it's a struggle.
At one stage I was like, just get with the priest on the plane. It would make more sense to me.
I would have. I'd like to see that version of the movie.
That would be an interesting thing. Like, why would you spend your time doing this? And why have I watched this at least 16 times?
Yeah.
Because there is just something. Because I suppose the era of the rom-com, we keep on being told that it's coming back. But in 2010, like we're coming into a very sparse rom-com time.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have a few gems, but there was a lot of shite. So I think you'll just put on anything when you're looking for that little bit of warmth and love. And they're talking down to us so much, but we're like, I don't care. Like, this is what I can't get over when it comes to people are like, how do we get money out of women? How do we do it? Just give us a rom-com. I'll give you all my money. It's as simple as that. I'm absolutely fine with it. Just give me How to Lose a Guy in 10 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How to Lose a Guy in 365 days. Whatever you want to do. And getting it this wrong just feels weird. What was the point? And it didn't make that much money. She must have cost it wasn't a cheap film. And it all just brings me back to, how much did the government pay for this? How much did the tourist board pay for this goddamn film? Like, the Australians just put Chris Hemsworth on a beach and they just do an ad, and that is more effective than Leap Year.
Yeah.
Than getting people to come here. Do you not think?
I think so.
There was one good. There wasn't as much with cows as I thought there was going to be, because I was like, you know, in a film like this, you think there's going to be more cow action.
Yeah.
So they did try to keep that to a minimal.
Yeah. There's still significant cow action, and it's like, the one thing I will say about this film, like, for a film that's an hour and 40 minutes, not a lot happens. You know what I mean? It's very, and like, it's funny because Good talks in a lot of interviews, again, promoting this, where it was like, everyone loves a journey film. You know what I mean? Everyone loves like a road trip film. And I'm like, yeah, but this is, not a lot happens in terms of memorable scenes, the cow scene and the scene where they end up staying in that guest house with the Italian couple who just can't stop shifting each other. I actually did find that funny. I was kind of chuckling at that scene. I was like, brilliant.
But also, what was the point of this? So in Tipperary, in the B&B, they're staying in the station master's house, which happens to be in B&B.
Yeah.
Because they've missed the train and they're going to get the train to Dublin the next day.
Yeah. And so she can propose to Adam Scott, and he's like bringing her because public transport.
Public transport.
That's a flop.
Not a thing. Yeah. To be fair, we give out about public transport. So thank you for highlighting the lack of public transport in Ireland. Well done. Yeah. Rural transport is terrible in Ireland. So it's a social justice film that I didn't realise, actually. Thank you for that. It's citing the ills. That's it. So this conservative couple, to stay in the B&B, you have to pretend to be married. You have to be married to stay in the B&B. Yeah. So they pretend to be married, so therefore they've got to share a room. I wonder what's going to happen. But then this conservative, religious, holy Joe couple make them do a shift-a-thon like it's coppers after an All-Ireland final around the dinner table.
They're like, you have to shift in front of us. If you don't kiss, so pathetic. Look at these two Italians tearing flesh off each other, and you're not going to kiss each other, you losers.
You remember pretending you were American pre-teens and sitting around playing fake truth or dare and making younger people kiss? No, is that just in what we did in Limerick? We did this once, so we would have been about 10, and then I won't mention their two names, they would have been about 9, and in our heads they were going out, and we're like, you have to kiss, you have to kiss, you have to kiss, you have to kiss. And this scene in Leap Year brought back my past trauma of my crimes against consent. So I just feel really bad about that. Again, it's creepy and weird the way they're kind of making them have to like each other. You have to share a room together. Oh, he's going to see your bra. Oh, you're going to have to share a bed.
Yeah, him constantly walking in on her at the start where they're in the pub and she's like getting changed and he's like, I'm going to make a hang sandwich or something. Like it's
hang sandwich.
And she's like, what's a hang? Some of the dialogue.
Hang is a verb. I was like, oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, the dialogue is truly
What are they? Like, I have the mispronunciation. I don't know what that lyric is or line is in relation to. The mispronunciation drives me insane. But I also, when he says beautiful apartment, the chihuahua and the duvet, where it's like he's trying to, it's like a Cork accent, but I'm like, babe.
Listen, he was trying to get in the region. What are we going to do? What are we actually going to do? Oh, I know what we do. We actually, after this, we grew a crop of very good Irish actors so that this could never happen again. Like, we're done with the Tom Cruises and the Brad Pitts and the Matthew Goods of the world. We're like, we've grown our own. So we don't have to do this anymore. Like, I want to see Paul Mescal in a rom-com.
Now.
So bad.
I need it now.
I just think it would be superb. I still, to this day, think it is a crying shame that Michael Fassbender hasn't done one. And Colin Farrell. I just think it's a shame. I think that they would be like, do I want a rom-com between himself and James McAvoy? Absolutely. Like, that's the one that I want to see. I want to see them doing Leap Year. It would be fantastic. But that's what's sort of offensive. But then I kind of watch Air Force One and I'm like, Gary Oldman sometimes sounds like he's from Peckham and he's a Russian terrorist. So do we have a right to be offended? We're just happy to be in the game, lads. They know where Ireland is. Isn't that really kind of before the Celtic Tiger? Sure, listen, we're just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? There was one bit of it. And she's got a Louis Vuitton handbag. Not handbag, it's a suitcase.
Luggage, luggage case.
And Jeremy, her cardiologist boyfriend, has bought her this suitcase. And Matthew Good's character slags her. He bought you a suitcase. Now, I'm just wondering, in 2010, if I was going, Jesus Christ, it's as bad as buying someone a Hoover. Or is it the rise? Was he pointing out the rise of consumerism and commercialism and Instagram huns?
Was he never the villain?
Yeah, was he just going, I know what's happening here.
Was he recognising that we were all being just absorbed by capitalism and...
Yeah. That essentially it is just a suitcase. Who cares if it's Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
It will last a lifetime, apparently.
I mean, I'll believe that they haven't seen me lash it onto a train at Houston, you know what I mean? I think I could make fucking shit of that suitcase fairly quick.
Listen, if that's the real suitcase and it lasted on those fancy Hollywood roads, it'd be fantastic. But do you now think, honestly, that you would enjoy a suitcase as a present? There's a big age gap between us.
No.
No?
You would you?
Absolutely. I got one.
Adam's agreeing. Adam would.
My mother-in-law got me one a few years ago.
Shout out.
I was like, that is an excellent gift.
Yeah.
I was delighted with it.
It is one of those things that you probably wouldn't think to buy yourself unless you really needed to. And you wouldn't get yourself a really nice one, you know what I mean?
Wouldn't.
Whereas someone else would.
You wouldn't. And it's a sort of like, I'll have that case for life.
Forever,
You can bury me in it. Like, just hike me over the wall in that suitcase and I'm good to go. So I was like, that is an excellent idea. As the road journey goes on, you're kind of just, can this be over?
Yeah.
It's the road movie you want to end. Because they have brought in this road movie thing. As they move towards Dublin, Declan views Dublin as it is ground zero.
Yeah.
It is World War II. It is the epicenter. It is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying because you're like, lads, I know in America places are really, really far away, but like you'll have to go to the passport office at some stage and you'll probably have to go to Dublin. So it's just what has to happen. And then this whole thing of Dublin's terrible, you can't get to Dublin, it's €500 to get to Dublin. And then the woman who owns the B&B, she goes grocery shopping in Dublin. She's from Tipperary. Like, unless she's going to Colonel's Court, to be fair, that is a special Dublin.
Yeah, fair.
I'm like, I'm sorry now, there's some Shaw's almost nationwide right there in Rosscray.
Yeah,
so you can get that. You can go across the road to Super Value. There's so many Aldis and Lidls. She's fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
No, she needs to go to Fallinburn though, do you know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's it. Yeah.
She was selling in Fallinburn, didn't they? Didn't they grow all their own vegetables? Well done you.
So coming back
well
to
done
me.
You. Well done you. So when she gets to Dublin and next thing the proposal is happening with Jeremy, but she's fallen in love with Declan.
Yeah. Awful. Who could have thunk that? Who could have predicted it?
That was going to happen. Like, you want things to be predictable in life, but not that predictable. Yeah. And I think everyone knows what happens. Do we spoil?
Oh, absolutely. We spoil.
We'll have to talk about it. Jeremy ends up proposing to her on Leap Day, and it's the thing that she's wanted. In the lobby of the fucking
hotel they're in, and she's like, yes. I'm still like, no, babe. No.
Yeah, and it did look like it was KPMG.
Yeah.
It was. I'm like, we can do better than this. Can we?
Yeah.
We can do.
We can, I think.
A kid has run in to see mum and dad at work and they've chipped their baby tooth on that floor, fallen over. We can do better than this. So he asked her to marry him. Oh my God, this is so, but she loves Declan. She looks at Declan and he's left. It is all so dramatic. Next thing, they're in Boston. Caitlin Olsen, again, from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Why are you there?
Totally forgot she was in this. Totally underutilised.
She's in it for 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yeah, max.
And I'm like, I'm assuming they got her because her name is Caitlin and they're like, more legitimacy.
Yeah.
That is an Irish fucking name.
Yeah.
So back in Boston, it turns out that Jeremy's only asked Anna to marry him because he wanted to get this fancy apartment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Consumerism. Yeah. She loves Declan. She realises it. She arrives back to Dingle. She tells Declan she loves him. But Declan has been so hurt in the past by Dublin, his girlfriend, that he doesn't want, he's all about, I don't want to make plans. She's like, I just want us to be together, but we don't have to make plans. I propose that we don't make any plans. Right out of Grey's Anatomy, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't want to make plans. The Macbeth storyline, it's coming right out of that. And he disappears. And next thing, she's transported from Dingle to the cliffs of Moher.
She's at a cliff. And it's like, what turn is this movie about to take? Because it all seems a bit much, guys. It all seems a bit beyond the fact as well that she's also now acquired the powers of teleportation. Like,
yes.
It's a lot.
Stunning. Again, if I was American, I'd be like, I want to go to there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Stunning. Beautiful.
100%.
And Declan arrives. It turns out he was going to get his mother's Claddagh ring. Claddagh ring was a whole other character that we didn't get into. And of course, I want to make plans with you. I want to get married. Just Married appears on his old car, another character that we could not get into because it was a really weird plot device. And she throws the map out the window of the car because the best things in life happen when you don't plan for it, guys. Metaphor smacks you right in the face at the end. Thank you, leap year. I can't believe it was made. I can't believe it was made. And I also can't believe it's not more popular at the same time.
Truly.
But loads of people who've watched it, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Most people have, when I've said the name to people have been like, and then I've explained it and they're like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay. Such a dark spot for people. But I also think we're so attracted to, the minute we hear, oh, this movie's set in Ireland and the accents are really bad, we're like, ding, 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 yeah, no, get on. Even when Wild Mountain Thyme came out a few years ago, which I actually still haven't watched, but it was just, it's catnip to us.
I have to say, I was so excited for Wild Mountain Thyme, really building up to it. And then one of the trailers, when Jamie Dornan's accent was I was like, I don't think I can put myself through this. We were just out of COVID. I was like, I can't, I don't think I can do. This is what the Mescals and the Scots have done. They've ruined it for everybody because they've got legit accents.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's one of my favourite flops. I will never give it up in my entire life.
Where does this fall for you in terms of the canon of Irish movies that are set in Ireland? The accents are really bad. What's your top 3, top 5?
Oh God.
Sorry, yeah. Have to do it.
That's really on the spot because I didn't go that much. I haven't watched Wild Mountain Thyme and I'm hoping that will become, once I've gotten over the trauma of COVID, that I'm ready to kind of deal with it. I would say, so if we're talking in the veins of, and it is said in Ireland, so we're talking Laws of Attraction, Leap Year, Far and Away.
Michael Collins.
What are you talking about?
Well, sorry, genre-wise, no, but accents. Accents, I mean, terrible Irish accents.
Liam Neeson's accent's great in that.
Yeah, it's...
as a Cork woman.
Yeah, he's not that bad.
I watched it recently. It was on in the pub.
Classic.
It was on in the pub. It was on in the pub in Cremon, in Kerry. And we were just like, Michael Collins is on. And everyone all of a sudden, the people who aren't playing cards are all staring at Michael Collins. And we were like, fair play, the accent isn't bad. So attractive. Michael Collins is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I think I've watched Leap Year more than Michael Collins. I have to say.
Irish History, Amy Adams, Matthew Good.
Matthew Good. Like, I read A Discovery of Witches because of Matthew Good. The worst series of books.
Has that been cancelled as well, the TV adaptation?
They did all 3 series.
Oh, okay.
They did 3 series.
Good for him.
Now, they probably could have done more, but I swear to God, I loved the first series of that.
Yeah.
Terrible, but don't read the books, please.
He was in a really interesting position though prior to this. Like, he did a couple of like significant roles. Like, you're talking in a Woody Allen movie. We're not getting into Woody Allen, but in Match Point, you know, like The Lookout. But then he'd also come off the back of a couple of like other flops, like the Watchmen movie adaptation. People did not like, and he mentions in an interview where he's promoting Leap Year that people like would often come up to him and be like, yeah, I didn't like Watchmen, lol. And when he's talking about this, he said, I was told it was going to be like The Quiet Man with a Vaughan Williams soundtrack, but in the end it turned out to have pop music all over it. A bit like Chasing Liberty again, which he also starred in.
Yeah.
Do I feel I let myself down? No. Was it a bad job? Yes, it was. But you know, I had a nice time and I got paid. And obviously you referenced earlier, like, he has genuinely said he took the role because at the time his girlfriend was pregnant, or he had a small child, had just had a baby. So he was like, he wanted to be able to travel. He said that fully after the fact, openly was like, this is why I took this role.
Yeah. And I love him for that. Yeah. Like, I remember at the time being like, I love you for that. Thank you for being so honest.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I wouldn't be including The Quiet Man in that because like, he's got an American accent. Like, are we saying Barry Victor McLennan, he's got his Irish accent? Ward, what's his name? Like, The Quiet Man is one of my favourite films of all time. It will always be. There is something so magical about that film. I don't know I suppose it's myself and my dad watched it all the time. It was just, that was the movie at Christmas. You sit down, you watch. The music was so beautiful. It was so colourful. And it is feeding into the Begar and Begosh. And we all know that at that time, there were women locked away in laundries. Like, this wasn't Ireland. But I do think it's fabulous. I loved it. And it does have this sort of medieval, chivalric sort of storyline to it. So it'll always be The Quiet Man. But for taking the piss, it has to be Leap Year. Yeah. And I'll never stop watching it.
Yeah. As you said, it didn't make a lot of money. It made more than its budget. So the budget was $19 million, made $32.6 million.
Yeah.
Opened at number 6 at the American box office. Can you guess what it opened behind?
No, 2010.
2010.
Haven't a clue.
We've got Avatar, obviously.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Avatar, Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel.
Oh, no.
Daybreakers, and it's complicated.
Oh, well, it's complicated.
Yeah,
Must have been out for ages at that stage, because that's great. Meryl, you're all good with
that.
I do know that this is the year, 2010 is also the year that Morning Glory came out, which my job currently is working on a breakfast television show. Yeah. So everyone, when I first got the job, was like, have you seen Morning Glory?
What's Morning Glory? I haven't seen Morning Glory.
Oh my God. Morning Glory is Rachel McAdams.
Okay.
Stars as a producer of an early morning television show that's on the Down. Yeah. So it's got Phil from Modern Family and Diane Keaton as the stars. And they oust one. Harrison Ford then comes in to host the morning show. And then she falls in love with Patrick Wilson. Brilliant. It is glorious.
Okay, I'm immediately going to watch that.
It is so glorious. I genuinely sit there sometimes going, why wasn't this more of a hit? Again, it's painting by numbers, but Rachel McAdams is just so... Like, I know you've discussed season 2 of True Detective and her trying to break out of that role. But my God, she's so good.
She's so good.
She's so good.
It's just such a shame about everything else, but yeah, she is.
I know. Like, what's that one that she did with Channing Tatum where she loses her memory based on the true story?
I was literally just about to say amnesia, but that's the condition. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I cannot remember the name.
Remember all that, like Rachel McAdams being quirky, like she's meant to be alternative. I love it. Like, it's so bad. It is so horrendous. I just think, shove her in anything, I'm going to end up watching it. But that was the year that brought out, like, Morning Glory. There was a J-Lo movie out that year. You know, we're kind of on the downturn.
Is that the one where she meets your man from the Hawaii Five-0 reboot.
The Australian fella, Lachlan.
Yes, he's so hot. But she gets pregnant and then she meets like the love of her life, and it's like, fuck, I'm pregnant and I met the love of my life. This is a disaster, so I pretend I'm not pregnant.
Yes.
Whatever that movie's called. So if someone wants to do that for Flop Culture, tell flopculture@gmail.com because I want to.
The backup plan.
Yes, the backup plan. The backup plan.
The backup
Brilliant.
Plan. Oh, it took me so long to decide to watch that movie because they were setting Lachlan up they were setting him up to be like, okay, this could be it. This could be a new rom-com hero. And then, so I don't know what was coming down the tracks that they said we're not investing in this anymore for years and years and years properly. I know we've had a few, but it was that, it was a year of I think it was the year of Eat, Pray, Love.
Yes, yeah.
I think 2010 was the year of Eat, Pray, Love as well, which I was like, Julia, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Make it come back. And I think like there's been a dearth, like until Ticket to Paradise came back, I was like, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
We're back to the Katharine Hepburn days. So very high up my list of, I'm sure I'm forgetting loads of Irish movies now, Irish American movies that I have probably watched continually, but I would watch Leap Year.
So do you think we're back kind of in a rom-com renaissance now?
I liked it. So I was on the phone to my 18-year-old niece who's doing her leaving cert, and she's at that age where, you know, she's going out, she's going to pubs and they're going out drinking or whatever. And one Saturday night she was off to see the Sydney Sweeney, Glenn, what's his name?
Anyone
movie,
But You, yeah.
with a big gang of friends. And I think she's gone to see it a few times, like I would have done with One Fine Day.
Yeah.
You know. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, the young ones are going to the cinema to see a romantic comedy. I'm really hoping that we're starting to come back a little bit more because there's an awful lot of people who aren't looking at, like, you know, when Matthew McConaughey said, I'm done with them. And you're like, don't turn your back. Just just don't do Fool's Gold.
Yeah.
But don't turn your back on them. When he kind of turned his back, they were like, oh, it's dead now. Because he would have done anything.
Yeah.
And then every actor said, well, if he can go off and win Oscars, I'm not doing this anymore. But I think people see the benefit in them now, being like, oh, let's have a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
If we can get them to that sort of Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy sort of an era, it should be good.
Yeah. Can I read you some reviews of Leap Year at the time? We had Nathan Rabin of the AV Club. They graded like kind of the American grading system, so he gave it a C+. Said the film functions as the cinematic equivalent of a Shamrock Shake, sickeningly artificially sweet, formulaic, and about as authentically Gaelic as an Irish Spring commercial. Obsessed with that.
Thank you. Well done.
New York Times said Leap Year is so witless and charmless and unimaginative that it can be described as a movie only in a strictly technical sense. I enjoyed that. That made me laugh. That's a read. That's a read and a half.
Like, what was going on with Amy Adams at the time? You know, because she's had this really interesting career.
Yeah.
Sort of like as the extra in The Office, like Jim's girlfriend in The Office. And next thing, she's Amy Adams.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely everywhere. She's a fantastic actress.
We just did a rewatch of Sharp Objects for the Patreon, and like it's so the juxtaposition of these roles is like it's beyond.
It is, but also you should be able to do it all if you want to. You know,
and
right?
She is one of the best things about this.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
She is, and I also do remember the outfit at the time. You know, the cardigan, and the pencil skirt with the heels. I lived with a bunch of accountants. That was what they were wearing. Like they were going into work in the morning to be in coppers until 5 a.m. Like accountants are crazy when they're in training. Like they are top notch. And they were all wearing those sort of things. Yeah. So they did get the styling kind of right in it, whether that's a good or a bad thing.
Her hair is blow dried immaculately as well throughout. I have to say that.
Every time. Every time. You're like, that's not... Like, if there was anything... Well, we can't have those things authentic, though, can we? Like, at least they didn't do the, you know, we're going to have a kiss when we wake up in the morning thing. Like, that is the thing that I hate most. I hate it more than the fake coffee cups and pretending there's liquid in it. It is the shift in the morning.
Yeah.
And the getting it on. And it's like, no, like, who doesn't have morning breath? Just brush your teeth. I can't deal with it. Again, one reason that I love Grey's Anatomy is because she gave out about McDreamy's morning breath. It was just, it's weird, but they all kind of have that dud, don't they? Like they have a few duds. And I just wish that romantic comedy writers just put a little bit more, because it could have been something.
Yeah. Like, the concept is there. It just, there's part of me that just thinks a few more tweaks. I don't want to replace Matthew Good. Don't want to see him out of a job, but I just think a few more cranks of a wrench. We would have had something fully formed and good. Not like ironically good, but like good.
Yeah. And the earnestness about the superstition of leap year was a bit annoying, because you're kind of sitting there, okay, we're post this now, thinking like twee little nations and their stupid little superstitions. And we're post Bridget Jones. So we've kind of gone, hold on now. She's got a little bit of agency. We're not taking that seriously. But then you go on Reddit and you see Am I the Asshole? And there does seem to be this pantheon or this bunch of people who think they can't say, Harriet, do you want to get married?
Yeah. Karen Valby actually wrote that at the time. She wrote this piece about Leap Year for Entertainment Weekly where she kind of says this. She said, when will Hollywood drop this strangely clung to cliche that a grown woman will always be reduced to a needy brat when she gets a whiff of wedding cake? You want to know what was cute about Kimberly Williams in the movie Father of the Bride? Her character was a 22-year-old and she acted like one. Maybe young women her age still get silly and feverish about their fairy tale notions of weddings and marriage. Grown women don't. And kind of goes on to pull apart other movies for that reason. Adam's character is neither a ninny nor a child, and yet the whole marketing campaign of the film boils down to that's a word that I cannot pronounce, notion that what a woman today really wants, what she will not in fact live without, is a rock on her finger. She wants that rock so bad, the movie tells us, and yet she can only risk asking for it herself once every 4 years in Ireland.
That is, she's just got the nail on the head. It's this fallacy of who it is and what it is that we want when it comes to romantic comedies that they keep on pushing down our throat. And I'm like, why are we buying into this, first of all? Because that's not the way it is. And we're always like, oh, if more women get involved. But sometimes that doesn't solve it either. Because there has to be a cohort. We sit here going, there has to be a cohort. But there's not. I don't know anyone. I genuinely don't know anyone who would have been that desperate that they wouldn't have just said, Harriet, are we going to get married, by the way?
The minute I opened those earrings, if I thought he was going to propose then, and the minute I opened those earrings, I would have just been like,
are we not? Yeah, like, why can't you say something?
Not gonna lie, I thought this was going to be a ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you're not willing to say, by the way, are we getting married? Like, what's going to happen if he's infertile? And you have to have the real proper conversations of, well, maybe I might get someone else's sperm. Like, it's just that she's just got it right. It makes us all seem like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And then when you do get that little bit older, and if you're selling to such a young cohort that they're 5-year-olds and the be all and end all is the white dress and the wedding, you're kind of like, well, what are you going to do what about the people who are 28, 29, 30 who are going, absolutely not. Lads, I need to get my house first. I got to do this. You're selling a fantasy that no one believes in anymore.
Yeah.
And no one wants anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's actually more important things that are more fun and more exciting than spending 20 grand on it. Like, I think most people say that. Listen, I love a wedding. They're absolutely fantastic. But most people I know would be like, now, I want to have the house to have the party in first, rather than get the old wedding. So, yeah, it's still shoving it down our throats. I think it's weird. But they've surely stopped now.
No, I haven't watched enough modern day examples to...
No,
really
I should have looked into what I've been watching, because I will watch any old shit. Any old shit. Give it to me. The one thing my job has interrupted my life, because my life was staying up until 5 o'clock in the morning watching the most horrendous thing from around the planet. But then as you get older, you start watching romantic comedies from places like Denmark and Finland. Not trying to be that asshole, but they're so good.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is really funny.
Yeah.
And it's actually for adults.
Yeah.
So I think Hollywood are trying to buy into a little bit of that, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Treating us like a little bit older. I can't wait until I'm 78 going, oh my God, the new romantic comedy that's for 15 years old. Like, I'm going to be that person. I remember when we were in transition year in school, a bunch of us went to see, I think it must have been Just Go With It.
Yeah. Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston?
No, absolutely not. Oh. Sorry. One of the best movies of all time, Kirsten Dunst, Cheerleader.
Bring It On.
Bring It On. Sorry. Like all of us, all the girls and the lads, because cheerleaders. So there must have been 20 of us walking in there. And we kind of walked in and there was we just see someone sitting by themselves, and it turned out it was like one of our student teachers. He was only about 28. And he was a religion teacher, and we were like, oh no, like there are just red flags going on here a lot. This is you should not be here. And I was like, why would you choose this showing? Like, cinema's beside our school. We're all well known for coming here when it's a rainy day after school. And it's the after school showing. And he was sitting there and we were like, what is going on here?
Logic, babes. Logic.
Yeah, it was really, but I'm going to be that person. I will happily be that person in the cinema. 78 years old, going to watch as many cheerleader.
Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell trying to revive their careers once again with Anyone But You too.
This time it's personal. Oh my God, I'm so into it. Have you seen Anyone But You?
No, not yet.
I think I'll cinema it.
Because they're I literally, this is my second episode in a row talking about this, but they're re-releasing it for Valentine's Day. They're calling it like the Valentine's Day Encore because it's doing so well.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely kind of reinvigorated rom-coms for cinema.
Because it's nice to see a rom-com when it's like, I spent days, because it happened so quickly, going, please let Ticket to Paradise stay in for more than 2 weeks. Please let it stay in for more than 2 weeks because I cannot do another superhero movie. Like I am just, even though I want Madam X to work.
Madam Web.
Oh,
babe. I don't think so.
I know.
I love your ambition, but even Dakota's like...
Yeah, I know.
Dakota Johnson's like, fuck.
She's given off all the vibes. And you know those things, like you know that rule, once they give it to the women, you know that it's a failing franchise. Yeah. I just really enjoyed Dakota and I would look at her hair.
Yes.
For 2 hours. The most amazing head of hair. But I was counting the days that Ticket to Paradise stayed in because I was like, we need this. Guys, we need this to let them know that we want more and more and more of this. But then you've stuff like Fallen Leaves and the one that came out of France with Juliette Binoche this year. And I'm like, okay, do you know what? They're giving us romantic comedies from the other side as well. Yeah. So it should be okay. Again, though, it has given me a lifelong love of Matthew Good. Like so much so that I cast him in other things. And he did not enjoy 1 minute of being in this film.
No.
Like it makes me think that he hates Ireland. Like he hates Ireland.
Yeah.
You're like, would he come back for anything else? Have I seen him here at any other time? Like, am I going to see him at the Book of Kells? And I'm like, no, he had such a bad time here in that movie that there's no way. But his facial hair was stunning.
Yeah.
Like all lads should be looking. Jamie Dornan, Matthew Good, great facial hair. He's never gotten facial hair as good as that, as he did in that movie. That is a triumph of the movie. Matthew Good's hair.
Matthew Good's hair, bop. Leap year overall, kind of a flop, but a beloved flop of our hearts.
Oh, complete flop. Yeah. And should have been a flop. Should not have made over 30 million.
Yeah.
Shocking, to be honest. But beloved. Like, you know, you kill your darlings.
Truly.
I love it.
Muireann, what a pleasure. You're so welcome back anytime. As you said, you watched so much shit. You can talk about whatever you want at any time. You text me, I'll text you. Where can people find you in the meantime?
Why did it take so long?
Why did it take so long? I'm sorry, I know it took too long. Next time you'll be back in.
I watch so much shit. I'm on the telly on Ireland Day and I'm on Instagram. Which I'm attempting to step away from.
Fair.
Yeah.
Social media is awful.
Oh yeah.
Media's awful. Everything's awful.
When I was kind of like, oh, you feel bad all the time. Maybe it has something to do with your phone being in your hand. Okay, let's step away from that. But still, it can be fun for some things.
Some things.
Some things.
Yeah.
A delight, by the way. One of my very favourite people, genuinely. A delight.
Thank you. Muireann O'Connell, you are so welcome. Thank you for joining me on Flap Culture. Much appreciated. Woo-hoo!